Hey everyone, Blau aka Cove here, and today we're going to show you how to use OSC and different use cases for it within Lumia. Let's get started. So if I come over to Lumia stream, I'm going to go to connections, add new connection, and then put in OSC. I'm going to connect OSC, and then I'm going to put in my port. So I'm going to be using port 755. I'm just going to call this OSC Pilot or whatever I need to name it to. I'm going to be connecting OSC Pilot with this port. That's why I'm going to use it here. If I'm connecting to a different computer, I'm not using it locally, then I will, want to put in my IP address here. But most of the time you'll want to keep your listen address as 0.0.0. Just leave this blank. But if you're connecting to a different computer, change this IP address. I'm going to press add and I'm going to press next. Press refresh. Now I need to go to my OSC app. I'm going to be using OSC Pilot as well as protocol to see the differences and what's going on. So if I turn on protocol here, protocol just listens to the messages being sent. It works with both MIDI and OSC. I'm going to go to OSC, press enable, allow access. And the port that I was using was 7555. And now with OSC Pilot, I'm going to have this text field here. I'm just going to call this label Lumia. I'm going to set my address. And actually for the OSC socket, I need to set up which socket I want it to be triggered with. So if I go to settings and I put in my listen to port as 755 and I did my send to port, let's say it's going to be 7556 because we're also going to listen OSC with Lumia, and I'll show that pretty soon. And now if I close out of that, I'll go back to the text box. I'll set my OSC socket as socket A, and we'll just leave it as, text by default. Let's make this a little bigger. And now we're going to go to that command. We're going to go to Lumia. We're going to go to commands, add command. And now we're going to go to this OSC tab. I'm going to select a device. I'm going to select my type. I want this to be a string, because we're going to be sending the message that someone is sending from chat. And then the path that I have here is going to be slash, let's say Lumia, let's say slash Lumia. So I'll put slash Lumia over here. And then the value is actually going to be my variable called message. So if I add OSC, I'm just going to call this command OSC. I don't want my light to change here. And I also want this to skip the queue because I want to take in anything that the chat is, submitting. We'll remove chatbot as well. And I'm going to press apply. So now if I come over to my Twitch chat and put !OSC and I say, hey there, you'll see OSC Pilot change almost immediately. So that was a chat command. Of course, you could do the same thing with a Twitch point, a Twitch extension. You could use an alert where it actually gets like the latest follower that the person followed, so I can come to an alert. I can go to manage OSC, select my device as OSC Pilot, and then I'm gonna put a string slash Lumia, and my value will be the latest username who just followed. So I could test this out. So you'll see it's test. And if I wanted that as like a default variable, say I wanted that to be just like Twitch, then I could test that out right there. And you could even just say something like just followed. And you see how rapid it is. It's very quick. Now, one more thing we can use is we can actually use chat match. Chat match will take in every chat message that comes in and, output it however you want it to. So I'm going to add a chat match. I'm going to use my regular expression, which is just a period. A period means it's going to take everything that comes in, and I'm going to have it as always run. Now, what always run means is that even if a command picks it up, it will still run this chat match. If you don't want it to run it, you can have it as a fallback for any command that doesn't get picked up, and then this wildcard would hit. And you can use any regular expression here. So let's say you only wanted to, use it when people say, hey, you can do something like that. But I'm going to use period here. I don't want my light to change because my lights would be going crazy. And I also want to skip the queue. And last but not least, we're going to disable chatbot here and go to OSC. Select our device again, our send type, and our path is still going to be Lumia, and our value is going to be the message. So the full message. I actually want the raw message with the command. So I'm going to add OSC here, press apply, refresh. And now if I go back to my Twitch channel and say anything, you'll see, over here on OSC Pilot, it also says anything. So even if I trigger my lights, if I can say !blue, you'll also see it show up in OSC Pilot as well. because this is a always run command. You can add multiple chat matches. They can all fire at the same time if you want to. So that's how to send messages in your OSC apps. But you can also receive OSC. So if I have a button right here, I can pull this button up and I can say blue or whatever I want to call this button. And I want the address to be /blue. My OSC socket is still going to be A, but remember, it's not using the listen port. It's not using 7555. It's using that output port, that 7556, the center port. I'm going to put some text right here, just say, blue, and I could even give it like a nice color. So now on the Lumia side, I want to listen to that OSC command. So I'm going to go back to the dashboard and I'm going to go to input control. I'm going to select OSC. I'm going to turn on OSC. But I'm going to change this port. That port is 7556. Press apply, refresh, go back to my list. And now I want to add a bind. So if I go to add bind, it already says recording. So if I go back to OSC Pilot and push that button, it should automatically fill in that /blue. Now, if it didn't, you can also just manually add that /blue in there as well. You have the option to ignore OSC values that equal to 0, because when you push a button, it actually triggers the button. And then when you release it, it also triggers it. So it actually would trigger it twice in OSC Pilot. So I'm going to turn this on and I'm just going to bind this to one of my chat commands. Quick note, you can use chat commands even if you turn them off. Just make sure you don't delete them. Chat commands is kind of used all throughout the app. So it's a good place to set up all your commands that you're going to use through Stream Deck, OSC Pilot, or anything like that. I'm going to press done here, press refresh. And now if I go to OSC Pilot and push this button, you should see my lights turn blue. It's that simple. Now you can think of these as hotkeys. We also have hotkeys as well, but it's like a way of using hotkeys through OSC. And you can use any of our actions, just send a generic color. You can send a chatbot message, text to speech. You can set Lumia on or off. You could toggle stream mode, send a chat command, alert, or even just send a studio event, directly. So many options you can do here. One last app that I wanted to show you was Protocol. This is an easy way of debugging things that's going on. Like if you're having any issues, it will show you, the address that it's trying to send to. It can send the, the value and the type. So I have string test here. It also shows me the port. So, I just put in my port 7555 and triggered it from Lumia, and you see it pop up right away. So that's just another quick little app, a free app that works really well. If you're having any issues, check it out. We'll link to it down below in the description. If you have any other use cases for OSC, let us know in the comments below, and make sure you like and subscribe, and have a luminous day.